What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, a special expansion review. And today I'm very excited to check out Naturally Disastrous, the Storm variant from Silver Lake Games. The original Naturally Disastrous was a 1 to 6 player game, take about 45 to 60 minutes to play, ages 13 plus, in which you're going to be playing as aliens trying to escape Earth by setting up radio towers all around the Earth, but it wasn't that simple because there was lava, and there was earthquakes, and there was floods, and there was scientists and snipers and all sorts of bad things. I thought that was a very mediocre game. I actually thought it was below mediocre. I didn't think it was a good game. I didn't think it was a bad game, but I definitely thought it was a below mediocre game. Does the expansion raise this game to, dare I say, above mediocre or mediocre? Let's open it up, and I'll tell you what I think. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of the Naturally Disastrous expansion, the Storm variant. So we got our handy dandy rule sheet right here, which really doesn't tell you everything you need to know about what's in here, but we'll talk more about that in a second. So a couple big things you're going to be getting in here. We'll start with these. These are the most self-explanatory. These are just tiles that you can place out, which will remind you what the UFO, what the guard, what the sniper, what all of them do, which is really nice and a very nice addition to the game. Just having more information out on the table, especially for newer gamers, is always a good thing. Next, you're going to get 3 new characters, Waiut, Pachele, and Glipt Kababada. Waiut is just an absolute beast. He's probably never going to get KO'd. He has more health, and his special ability at the end of your turn, move your wound marker back to 0, not wounded when the mad scientist moves onto your space. So he's going to be really hard to take out, but as a result, he only can hold 2 items. Next, we have Pachele. When natives move on your turn, you decide where to move them. Natives cannot move onto Disaster. So you are going to decide where they move. She's very useful, but also only 0, 1, 2 health. Then we have Glipt Kabadik, who is going to actually have his own sniper rifle. For 1 action, KO all natives and mutated aliens up to 2 spaces away, not diagonally, which, as you can guess, is incredibly powerful. Holy moly, this guy is insanely powerful. So you're going to get 3 new characters. You also get 3 new tokens to keep track of your things. Next, you're going to get these 4 new tiles right here, which 2 of them are somewhat self-explanatory, the heal and the wounds. Those are pretty self-explanatory. However, the KO and the cloak, I have no idea what they do, especially not the cloak. Now, the KO, I think you can use it like you pick up the sniper rifle, and then you can knock out someone 2 spaces away from you, which is a really cool one. However, the cloak, I don't know. Let's consult the rules. Yeah, it's not on here. Yeah, that's definitely not on there anywhere. So cloak, I don't know what it does. So sorry for that. So next you're going to get more standees. So you'll get these 3 standees right here, which are obviously the 3 new characters, but you also get these 2 as well. And apparently these actually deal with one of the cons that I have with the game, which was they don't clearly explain what everything on the game board does, and I'm guessing that they designed the game board with the expansion in mind, because these are actually storms that will happen when you do various different actions, and they will be traveling around the board. But that, in a nutshell, is what you're going to get inside of the Naturally Disastrous Storm variant. Alright then, the Naturally Disastrous Storm variant expansion. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. Before we do this, I just want to say I'm going to do it a little bit different. I'm just going to go over everything you're going to get in the bag and give you my thoughts on whether or not it makes the game better, worse, or just about the same. So first and foremost, you're going to get these 5 new tiles, which will tell you what the scientist does, and the FBI agent, and the sniper, and how they work on their turn. They don't actually impact gameplay, but I'm a huge fan of these. Anything that you put in the game that is going to make me go to the rule booklet less, I am always a fan of. So yes, big thumbs up on these. I'm very happy with these. I wish they did have one extra one that went over, you know, when you roll the dice 1 through 10, what happens on each die roll, because you still have to consult the rule booklet pretty much every time to do that. But that being said, this is a good addition. Now, next, you have the 3 new characters, and they have some really cool special abilities. They have some really useful special abilities, especially the guy that can snipe, and the guy that's nearly impossible to KO. Like, he's just going to be really, really difficult to KO. Those are very useful. But with that being said, I'm a huge fan of adding more characters. I just am, period. That's a very useful thing to have in a game. But the game was already too simple. That was one of the cons that I had with the game, that it was not too simple, but too easy to beat the game for the most part. Unless you got completely screwed over by randomness, I felt like the game was already a little bit too easy, and I feel like these special abilities make the game too easy, especially the one that lets, when natives move on your turn, you decide where to move them. Natives cannot move onto disaster markers. If you're playing in a solo or a two-player game, this one is broken. Like, it's just, you never have to worry about anyone, because every 1, 2, or even in a 3-player game, 3 turns, you can make it so that people, you decide where they all move. It's not like you get to move one of them. You get to move each and every one of them. And that's, they only get to move one space as it is. So that one just, it did not feel very well balanced. So I am happy that there's 3 new characters, but with that being said, I don't feel like they're well balanced, especially not that purple one. Now, continuing onward, we have the 2 storms, and I'm a fan of the storms. They add a little extra oomph to the game. That being said, they don't feel fidgety, and they actually do answer one of the questions I had about the different symbology on the board, because there's symbology on the board that they don't actually explain in the original rule booklet what it does. So now there's 2 more questions answered, but still, with that being said, you know, there's still spots on the board where I'm like, +1 action, what does that mean? When I start there? When I start my turn? When the bad guy starts his turn there? What are you talking about? Last thing that I have to talk about this game is that it comes in a bag, which I don't mind. I don't mind the fact that this comes in a bag and it's just a plastic large sandwich bag. I don't mind that this is all you get. But the big problem I have is that none of this is going to fit into the base box. I already cannot fit all the stuff into the base box without having to use a rubber band. So the fact that you're adding more things to fit into the base box means you're not going to fit it into the base box. So you have 2 choices. You can either keep them separate, which is highly annoying, or you can put it into a different box, which for people like me who like to present the boxes is going to be really difficult. But I digress. Overall, you know, does this make the game better? And to that, I would say yes. It does. It makes it slightly better. But do I still think this game is mediocre or below? Yes, I still do. While it does add some things that I like, it's still just not that good of a game. And it's hard for me to recommend it to anybody. I've seen some people say maybe recommend it to newer gamers, people who are just getting into the hobby. But at the same time, I would say no. Are you going to tell me that this is better than any, 15, 20 games I could list off that are gateway games, that are games for newer gamers, and you're going to tell me this is the game that I should recommend to them over other games? No! I can think about 5 cooperative games that are about this simple off the top of my head that are better than this game. And so, in the end, Naturally Disastrous, with or without the expansion, is still not one I can recommend to just about anybody, even though, hey, a couple expansions from now, we could be talking about a potentially decent game. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know, Viking or Pirate, which would you rather be? For me personally, I think I would rather be a Viking, even though I think being a pirate would be slightly safer. But I'd like to be a Viking. But let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.